Welcome back to another edition of Chalk It Up Sports, a Monday edition at that, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I am your humble host, your most gracious host, your most blessed and highly favored host, Tone DeShields II. If you guys are new to the content, if you guys are new to the show, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me, goes a long way. We've been slowly but surely building something pretty great here at Chalk It Up Sports. And I can't be more grateful to you guys for helping us get to this point. We still have so much more ground to cover. But again, always humbled, always grateful to be here with you guys. You guys mean a lot to me. You guys mean a lot to this overall community here. And you all have been catalysts to the overall growth of this program here at Chalk It Up Sports. Once again, if you're new, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show, especially if you like what you hear. If you like what you see, if you like the vibes, if you like the energy, right? All my OG subscribers, everybody who's been here for a while, who's been here for a long time, man. Also a good time. Make the newcomers feel comfortable, man. Let them get their ish off. You feel what I'm saying? And then when they step out of line, check them. You dig what I'm saying? But other than that, though, I really do appreciate you guys for being here. It goes a long way. We're coming off of a very, very good football weekend in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles were able to take care of business on Friday against the Green Bay Packers, beating them 34-29, if I'm not mistaken. I want to make sure I got that scorecard right. 34-29, exactly. Yeah, and the night of the game, right? We were up pretty late. We were up around like midnight, 1:00 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. We were up pretty late, you guys, and we pretty much was just giving our raw reaction to the game, right? I was excited. You guys were excited. Things of that nature, right? I was pretty much just excited to have football back. Just to see our Philadelphia Eagles, get the job done, and also get it done in Brazil in foreign territory. And it's week one. It's week one. Through all that excitement that we had on display the night of the game, we do got to be mindful of the things that we did see and understand that it's week one. Don't put too much stock into what you saw. Make sure you don't put too much sauce on your criticism. You feel what I'm saying? There were some things, though. There were some things that made us feel good about the game, right? There are some things that we saw that can definitely bode well for the future. But as far as glorifying some of the negatives, right? We got to be careful with that because again, that goes for both teams. That goes for the Packers. That goes for the Eagles. That goes for any team you saw or you watched over the weekend. You got to take what you saw with a grain of salt, just a little bit, right? You got to just take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, the field conditions at the Corinth. What is the arena called? Corinthians Arena or Corinthians Stadium or something like that in Brazil. Obviously, the field conditions weren't the best, but we still got ourselves a pretty good football game. And Sunday obviously didn't disappoint. We had a bunch of games. We had a couple upsets involved as well, right? For example, a lot of people had the Falcons beating the Steelers. The Steelers ended up winning that game, especially after losing Russell Wilson to an injury, right? So there were a few things. To take from it as well. Also, another upset that we saw was the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals losing to the Patriots, right? I didn't see that coming. The Patriots beat the Bengals 16-10. I definitely didn't see that coming. So we're going to get into everything Philadelphia Eagles related. We're going to tap into some of the other games as well, just a little bit. But I do have a special guest coming on for you guys, right? I have a special guest coming on at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's also 12 p.m. Central time, 11 a.m. Mountain time, and 10 a.m. Pacific time. So I really do appreciate you guys for locking in where you guys did. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We got a special guest coming on at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I can't wait to kick it with this guy. I really can't. But I want to get into some of the notes that I had down for today's show, because like I said, although the game was a bit sloppy, right? We're not gonna act like that wasn't the case. The game was a bit sloppy for both teams. It was quite frankly a roller coaster ride. There's a handful of observations and takeaways from the game that we must get into. We're going to be doing that throughout the week as we prepare for the following matchup on Monday against the Atlanta Falcons. But there were a handful of things, a handful of observations that we have to get into throughout this week and throughout this show. Obviously, Saquon Barkley's 3-touchdown debut. That was amazing. Jalen Hurts' turnover bug. It's still on him for some reason. We'll talk more about that. The defense, the Eagles defense, stepping up in key moments throughout that game, right? They had a very strong final 5 drives against the Packers offense. And also they had a strong first few drives, right? Holding the Packers to only 6 total points on 2 red zone trips. That goes a long way with me. AJ Brown versus Jair Alexander. That was a fun matchup to watch. The Kellen Moore effect on the offense. We saw so much motion. The Philadelphia Eagles doubled their motion output in one game than they did all season, right? I think the Eagles were dead last in motions last year with about a 35% usage or something like that. It was in the 30 percentile. And last night, their motion usage was in the 60 percentile. So already you're seeing Kellen Moore's impact on the offense. And Jalen Hurts was pretty efficient whenever they were in motion. We're going to get into some of your concerns about the defensive line, right? The defensive line had an up and down game. I feel like the defensive line had a pretty strong first half in terms of defending the run. I know Emmanuel Wilson got off a little bit, but for the most part, they held Josh Jacobs in line for them in the first half and kept him from breaking the game wide open. He did have a strong second half, though. So we're going to talk about that, too. We're going to get into Zach Baun's performance. Zach Baun obviously had the performance of the weekend on defense as it pertains to your Eagles. 2 sacks, 15 total tackles. I think he had 11 solo tackles to go along with that, 2 tackles for loss. He was pretty much everywhere, tackling in the open field. I love his instincts. I love his athleticism. I love just how ferocious he was. And he had a game-sealing sack to end the game. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about Quinyon Mitchell's rookie debut. Quinyon Mitchell had a great first game. There were moments, of course, he's a rookie, right? So he's going to have those moments of, okay, experience will be the best teacher right here. But he did a pretty good job on whoever they put on him. And they tried to test him a lot. They didn't really try to go at Darius Slay, which says a lot about how Darius Slay is still viewed in this NFL. They really tried to attack Q. They took advantage of Avonte Maddox a lot in that game. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I feel like his game is being overblown in terms of the performance. I think people feel like he really had a bad game. I don't think CJ had the worst game. I just think he got caught on the island one too many times. And it's kind of hard to tackle Josh Jacobs in open field. He's like 230 pounds, 6 feet tall, 5'11", running at you full force. It's not an easy task to take down Josh Jacobs in the open field. You got to be honest about that. And I think there was a blown coverage on his part, which allowed the Jaden Reed touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. So again, I don't think GJ had the worst game, but I also think there's things on film that I'm pretty sure he's going to look at and say, I got to clean that up. Oh, I got to be a little better there. You know what I'm saying? Overall, I don't think the defense had a bad game. Well, first and foremost, before I even get too deep into the weeds of defense and offense, first things first, the Eagles won the game. They won the game, right? It's week 1. Anything can happen. It's kind of like silly week in college. If you've been to college or you understand like that first week and some change, it's pretty much anything goes because all the professors are passing out their syllabus. Anything can happen. We're syllabus week is like an extended summer. We're turning up all week. Anything can happen during syllabus week, right? So in week 1, anything can happen in football, right? Teams who we didn't think would be good will steal a win from a team that we expect to be good, a la the New England Patriots and the Cincinnati Bengals, right? We had the Patriots we had the Patriots drafting in the top 5, and they very well still may do so. But when you're able to steal a game from the Cincinnati Bengals, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe they did that on the road, correct? I want to make sure I got that right. Did the Cincinnati Bengals do that the Patriots did that? Yep. The Patriots did that on the road. The Patriots stole a game from the Bengals on the road, right? But are we really going to take that and judge the Bengals for their entire season going forward? I'm not. But I already told you guys I'm not really a fan of Joe Burrow with the bleach blonde hair. It's something about it that just signifies distraction, signifies lack of focus to me, and that's particularly at the quarterback position. That's just my humble opinion. You don't got to agree, don't got to disagree. It's whatever it may be. I just don't like my quarterback experimenting like that. I need my quarterback focused on football. I don't need my quarterback to be a distraction in that way. I felt like it was unnecessary. He got this Slim Shady thing going on, and he looked silly as hell. But again, that's not really indicative of football. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, right. It's week 1. You got to be mindful what you take away from these things. Teams are still figuring out their identities. And a lot of players are still knocking off the rust to their games, right? So when you see, Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat not really making an impact, I can completely understand that frustration, especially when you're paying Bryce Huff the kind of money he's being paid. And we're going to get to your comments too, by the way. Don't get me wrong. And by the way, we also have a guest coming on at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you guys lock in on that. You guys are tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. If you're new to the show, my name is Tone DeShields II. I appreciate you for being here. Please make sure you guys smash that like button on the way in. Make sure you smash it on the way out. But yes, teams are still figuring out their identities. But one thing we did know going into this game, and real quick, thank you, Brian Pumper, for your $5 super chat. He says, I'm still looking for Jimmy Hoffa. Buddy said Jair was finna have AJ in prison. Yeah, okay. He gonna be going for a while. He's gonna be going for a while. But listen, we got that like and we got that subscribe. So that's all that matter. Thank you, Brian Pumper, for the $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Like I said, teams are still trying to figure out their identities, and a lot of players are still trying to knock off the rest of their games. You saw it in the first half with the Eagles, right? The first quarter, back-to-back drives, turnovers, interception, fumble snap, right? And the interception entirely on Jalen. Entirely. Jalen Hurts can't make that throw. It was unnecessary. Devontae Smith was damn near in triple coverage. You can't do that. Same thing goes for the interception in the fourth quarter. You can't do that. That's how you lose games. You're in the red zone. You're in control. No need to overthink the situation. Throw the ball away. Take the field goal. Don't overthink the situation. Don't overcomplicate. Don't overcomplicate what's already being given to you. You're controlling the game. You have the lead. You kick the field goal. You go out by 8 points. You play defense. You still have some level of control over the game by being up 8 points. You're forcing them to go for a 2-point conversion when they probably really don't want to do that. You can't turn the ball over in the situations he turned it over in. You can't turn it over in the opposing team's red zone. You can't turn it over in your own red zone either. It's unacceptable at this point, Jalen Hurts. You got to be better than that. You have to be better. They're paying you too much money. You're entering year 5, year 4 as a starter. I know it's a new offense. I know it's a new coordinator. That cannot happen because those turnovers were mind-boggling. You don't throw across your body. You don't throw to somebody in triple coverage in the middle of the field. Bad things can happen. And then Cam Jurgens, timing has to be better with the snaps. Timing has to be better. That last one I put on Jalen. You got to. That seemed like it looked like a good snap to me. I don't know what went wrong. But the first one, Cam Jurgens snapped the ball entirely too early. They were not in sync at all. But I think that's something that will improve. Like I said, teams are still figuring out momentum, man, figuring out chemistry, and the Eagles didn't play in the preseason. I firmly believe if they would have played in the preseason, we wouldn't have saw some of the things we saw, but they were able to overcome it nonetheless. And going into this game, right? Going into this game, we knew Green Bay was a good team. So don't let nobody try to spin a block on you now and try to say Green Bay is whatever it is. Like Green Bay was a good team last year, especially ending the season, and people had them as a good team going into this year. And a lot of people had Green Bay Packers winning this game. Now I know the sports books had the Philadelphia Eagles as a -2.5 favorite. I do understand that was the case, but these people who have voices on television, who get paid to speak their opinions and talk football, they had the Green Bay Packers winning this game. And they lost because they came up against a bigger bully, a better team, a team that took advantage of their opportunities the best way they knew how. And Green Bay, I believe, is still going to be a good team. Also, prayers up to Jordan Love. You never want to see an injury in a football game, especially at the quarterback position. He's going to miss about 4 to 6 weeks. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they said 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks. I can't remember exactly how much time they said he could miss, but man, it sucks. It sucks that Jordan Love had to go through that, especially in the final seconds of the game. You just don't want that to happen. It was a clean play. I'm tired of people trying to say it was dirty. It was a clean play. So I'm not trying to hear Jalen Carter did something. It was a clean play. Everybody who's played the game that I've heard, they said it was a clean play. It was nothing dirty. It was nothing dirty about it. So going into this game, we knew Green Bay was a good team. We knew they had a good run. We knew they had a good quarterback, a good head coach, a great running back. We knew they had a really good receiving core with talent. We also knew they had talent sprinkled all over that defense, right? Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander, Xavier McKinney, right? They had talent sprinkled all over that defense, yet we still hung 34 points on them. I say that to say this is a very good win for the Philadelphia Eagles, especially in foreign territory. It's week 1. You're still figuring things out, and you still win the game. You put up 34 points after you made a handful of mistakes. You took advantage of their mistakes. They didn't take advantage of yours. That was the game right there. That was the game. The Eagles took advantage of the Packers' mistakes. The Packers did not take advantage of the Eagles' mistakes. I cannot bail anybody out because of that. Sure, Jalen Hurts put the Eagles in rough positions early on, but he had a strong second quarter. He had a strong third quarter, and he finished the game off strong on that final drive. I think he made the winning plays when it mattered most. He settled down. Once you saw him settle down and you saw the running game get involved, you saw how surgical he could be. And everyone has their own opinions about Jalen Hurts. That's perfectly fine. I'm not here to convince you anymore. There are some people who will never, ever be convinced when it comes to Jalen Hurts, and that's okay. I'm totally cool with that. Totally cool with that. But my perspective is different. And Jalen Hurts did not have a good game. But I also don't think he had an awful game either. Because there's 4 quarters you got to play. But this game doesn't stay within reach without that defense. We got to be honest about that. This game doesn't stay within reach unless that defense does what they did in the red zone. None of this that we're talking about can come to fruition without the Eagles defense coming up big in big moments. Multiple red zone stops, the Reed Blankenship interception, limiting Josh Jacobs in the first half, which stalled their offense, forcing Jordan Love into bad throws and decisions. Jordan Love had some explosive plays, right, to Jaden Reed, and he threw the touchdown to Christian Watson, right? The Packers had some explosive plays for sure, but when you really dissect how their offense was flowing, Jordan Love wasn't doing anything with the ball quite really, and then Josh Jacobs, he came alive in the second half and gave the Eagles a hard way to go, but they couldn't finish. That was the problem. They couldn't finish drives. They couldn't take advantage of opportunities that were given to them. That's the game. That's the game, you guys. Like listen to this. Listen to this, you guys. I need you to hear me out when it comes to the Green Bay Packers in those final few quarters, in those final couple quarters. This is the Packers' final 5 drives. Listen to this. The 5 drives that the Packers had to end the game, their final 5 drives. Listen to the results. 4 plays, 7 yards, punt. 2 plays, -1 yard, interception. 9 plays, 45 yards, missed field goal. 10 plays, 79 yards, made field goal. And then final drive, 4 plays, 33 yards, gain. They didn't take advantage of opportunities. The Eagles defense came up when it matters most. Now, I know you look at the box score. I know you look at the scorecard and you say, 29 points, over 400 yards of offense given up. You gave up over 130, 140 rushing yards. Not a good look, right? Not a good look. But you made their quarterback inefficient. You forced him into a turnover. You forced him into bad reads. Your red zone defense came up Big. The Philadelphia Eagles, quite frankly, I personified their mantra, bend but don't break. That's what the entire Vic Fangio defense is really predicated on, bending and not breaking. And the Philadelphia Eagles bent a lot in that game. They bent a lot, but they didn't break too many times. The Packers, all their touchdowns came, except for the one, they had one red zone touchdown, but the other two touchdowns came in, I want to say, just purely off explosive plays. The Jaden Reed 33-yard jet sweep touchdown, the 70+ yard Jaden Reed touchdown. He was working this. He was working this for sure. Got to give credit where credit is due. Jaden Reed did his job. He did his job. Got to give credit. Got to give credit where credit is due when it comes to Jaden Reed, man. That dude is fast. But Romeo Doubs was a non-factor. Who was the other kid that they was talking about? Who was the other kid that they were trying to tell me about? Dontavion Wicks, whatever his name is, Wicks, non-factor. 3 targets, no receptions. When Quinyon Mitchell was on him, nothing. Christian Watson, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 13 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, he was really a non-factor. Who else? The only person for them that was really a factor was Jaden Reed. Tucker Kraft wasn't a factor. Luke Musgrave wasn't a factor. The defense again. When you really watch the nuances of that game, that defense was all right. They were okay for the situations they were put in. They were okay. And then obviously Saquon Barkley. Oh my God, Saquon Barkley was masterful. 3 touchdowns, 2 running, 1 catching. The Jalen Hurts pass to him on the wheel route. Oh my God, perfectly placed pass. Perfect. Just perfect. All he had to do was go up and get it. It was perfect. And then, Saquon Barkley broke some pretty awesome runs. He was really effective in the red zone, right? His patience, his ability to make that one cut. Man, it was spectacular to just see him operate in his offense with that offensive line. My God, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, those guys were awesome. For Cam Jurgens, excluding the bot snaps, he was awesome in the run game. Mekhi Becton was bullying dudes. Because I was watching the interior the whole game. Jalen Hurts had plenty of time in the pocket. Every time he got sacked, it was because he held onto the ball. It's a little too long. He tried to escape out of the pocket. And also Lane Johnson gave up that 1 sack as well. But I think there was also I think what happened during that moment was the offensive line thought that the Packers got called for an encroachment or being in the neutral zone, and Lane Johnson just didn't react to the play. And I believe Rashawn Gary came off the edge and just cracked Jalen Hurts. But regardless, though, I think that offensive line played very well. I think the Eagles' offensive line played very well. I'm really excited to see what this team is going to look like going forward. We're going to get into more detail as the show goes. I do have a special guest coming on in a few minutes. Until he gets here, I want to get to your comments. So I appreciate you guys for locking in the way you guys did. Let me get to my man B Mills 21 with the $9.99 super chat. He says, I know Jalen had bad throws, but that interception in the end zone would have been money if A.J. Brown didn't slip. But everybody want to brush past that. But yeah, he got to do better. Yeah, man. I still wouldn't have thrown the pass because it's across the body, Mills. Trust and believe. I understand your perspective. The turf or the grass was awful. It gave nobody a fair chance at making plays sometimes. But, it was what it was. Both teams had to deal with it. And everybody had to make the necessary adjustments. But Jalen Hurts, he just can't make some of the decisions he made, and he would have threw more interceptions if the Packers just would have made the play, but they couldn't make the play. They couldn't follow through. So Jalen Hurts has a lot of film to look over throughout this week. They're going to have a 10-game or 10-day break in between Brazil and the Monday night Falcons game at Lincoln Financial Field. They have plenty of time to get into the lab and correct some things. And you won the game. You put up 34 points. Your defense held up big time in the red zone, and you still have so much to work on. You still have a ton of film that you want to look at. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are in a good position, given that they came out, given that they had to go to Brazil in week 1. They lost a home game, foreign territory, terrible grass and conditions. And granted, the fan base, the fans, the Brazil people showed out, and it was awesome just seeing all the Brazil people just support. All the people in Brazil just seeing the support, all the people that flew out to the game. It was awesome. The turnout was amazing. The product, the aesthetics of the product was awesome, but the field just wasn't up to par. But he has to be better. Just this decision making. He didn't have to force it. I think he threw one of those interceptions. I think he threw both of those interceptions on second down. Like, I don't think those interceptions were even third down situations. I think they were all second down situations. So he just has to be better. Period. It's no excuse. You can't pay too much money to make those kind of decisions, to be making the decisions he made. You're making too much money. Thank you, B-Mills, again for the $9.99 super chat. Brian Pumper back again with the $5 super chat. He says Packers didn't know about Lethal Weapon 53, the Baun collector. I like that. The Baunosaurus Rex, Zach John, a.k.a. oh my God, that's Jason Baun. That was fly. Brian Pumper, that was dope, man. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the love, man. It goes a long way. Wow, this was a goated super chat. I'll tell you that right now. Now, you guys, I told you guys I had a special guest for you, and excuse me, I always think it's really important to give my guests their flowers, right? Especially when they've truly earned their stripes in this business here. Now, this man, let me just take you way back, and I hope he doesn't mind me doing this. He was the former sports reporter for the Reading Eagles newspaper. He was also former editor-in-chief at BIC Sports. He was the former assistant sports editor for Westchester's Daily Local News, and then took his game to another level when he got an opportunity to cover your Philadelphia Eagles as a writer for 24/7 Sports. You've heard him on Jacob Sports. You've heard him on the Mike Gill Show on 97.3 ESPN, giving you guys your daily football talk. You've heard him on CBS. You've seen him on CBS Philadelphia, giving updates for the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's been an NFL writer for CBS Sports for over 5 years. This man is a vested veteran. He's one of the best doing it. This dude is a vast well of knowledge. Couldn't be more grateful to this man coming on. You guys know him. None other than Jeff Kerr. My friend, how are you feeling this morning or this afternoon for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tone, I appreciate the intro. I got to get you to do a hype up for like a next bowling match or something. But I mean, you know what? It's week 1 of the NFL season, so I couldn't be happier.
Yes, man. So much happened over the course of the weekend. Great football Thursday, great football Friday, great games on Sunday. We had a couple upsets, right? Bengals lose to the Patriots. Steelers find a way to upset the Falcons at home. But this Green Bay Eagles game, man, that's what I really wanted to pick your brain about, my friend. For one, were you there? Were you present for the game?
Oh God, no! I wasn't going down to Brazil. No way. I go to a lot of road games, but that was one I was glad I wasn't asked to go to, because I would have countered with, "Well, there are games in London and Germany. Can I just go there?" So I think they knew the answer. That's why I didn't even. It wasn't even brought up.
Yeah, Jeff, that game, it definitely had its narratives, right? The field conditions obviously were a factor. The teams had to travel 9+ hours on planes. I heard there was so much equipment, so much football equipment that had to get sit down. It was just a crazy operation that the NFL was trying to execute. But just keeping it on the grass, right? Eagles, Packers, both teams into the season with high aspirations. Both teams are talented, have their own fair share of questions on defense. How did the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Green Bay Packers on Friday?
You know what? That's a really good question, Tone. Personally, I thought Green Bay lost the game in the first quarter when they got the ball twice inside the Eagles 20 because of 2 giveaways. One was Jalen Hurts' fault. The other one, I'm not going to blame Jalen Hurts for Cam Jurgens snapping there. But regardless, giveaways are giveaways, right? And the Packers came up with 6 points. I'm thinking to myself at the time, all this and it's only 6-0 with the Eagles offense, I think they'll be okay as long as, they can hold Green Bay and not turn the football over. Well, once Saquon Barkley got that touchdown, I think Eagles fans felt a little better about that game. I mean, they couldn't have asked for a worse start on Friday, but I still kind of feel Green Bay lost an opportunity to take advantage of that game. But gotta give credit where credit's due. This was a toss-up game. I didn't expect the Eagles to win this game, but they did, and I think it's going to be a real big springboard for their season.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, right? I think the narrative of this game, the biggest story of this game was a team who took advantage of opportunities and versus a team who just did not, right? Like you said, Green Bay had multiple opportunities in the red zone, only really came away with one touchdown. The rest of the time it was field goals, and then also you missed one, right? Just staying on the offensive side for Philadelphia Eagles, right? Saquon Barkley. I mean, I know you're a Penn State guy. I know you were elated with him coming to the Philadelphia Eagles. Just give me your overall assessment, your instant reaction to what you saw from Saquon Barkley on Friday night.
Oh man, he was as good as advertised, as good as I thought he was going to be behind this offensive line. And I think everybody in the Delaware Valley knows this. Saquon Barkley was just not effective behind the New York Giants offensive line. It's been the worst offensive line in the NFL since Saquon has gotten there. The best offensive line he might have been his rookie year, and Saquon was doing most of the heavy lifting there. He doesn't have to do that here, and yet he still was able to carry this team at times in this game on Friday. I mean, that 34-yard run he had at the end of the third quarter felt like it was going to be a 2-yard run, and Saquon showed his cutting ability. He's still one of the best cutters in the league. But this is what the Eagles felt they were getting with Saquon Barkley, their own version of Christian McCaffrey, a guy who can change the dynamics of their offense. And look, Tone, he was as good as you could have imagined in that game. I mean, I think you're going to see a couple games like that. I don't expect him to get 26 touches every single week, but I feel like Friday was a little different because they had those 10 days off. It was week 1 of the season. It was kind of weird. I always joked it felt like a bowl game, right? You're playing on a neutral site, start of the season. But yeah, I mean, you have to be impressed with what Saquon did.
Yeah, on top of that, I was pretty impressed with how Kellen Moore executed this offense, or how Jalen Hurts executed the Kellen Moore offense, especially in the second and third quarters, right? The first quarter obviously was turbulent for them, the 2 turnovers. They couldn't really get things going, but they kind of settled in that second and third quarter. And it was pretty cool just to see all the motions, right? Let me ask you this, because you're the numbers guy and you're really good with stats. How did Kellen Moore's offense, as far as the motioning goes, compared to what they were doing last year in the lack of motion?
That's what I got to look up. So that's a good question, Tone. That's one of the things I got to do today, by the way. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. But it was definitely higher than anything you saw last year. Last year, they were dead last in the league in motion. As a matter of fact, their 3 years in the NFL, they were by far dead last. Like, they're under 30%. Just a rough estimate. And again, Tone, I'd have to look this up. So I apologize. I'll have to send you that number.
You're fine.
Yeah, it's been at least 40. It was at least 40% on for week 1. I think they're going to be middle of the pack using motion this year. So, that's a good thing. It really is.
Yeah, I know on the national broadcast there was a moment where they had a graphic up where they said last season I think they were like in the 30 percentile as far as motioning goes, like the bottom of the league. And then in that game, at that moment, I can't remember the exact moment it was, but at that moment they were motioning about 60+% of the time during that game. So it was just, and Jalen Hurts was pretty efficient in the motion. As a matter of fact, another thing too that I want to pick your brain about. Last year, Jalen Hurts wasn't that really good against the blitz. This game, again, only one game, you kind of saw a different level of instinct from him in those situations. Can you break down what you saw?
Yeah, so I do have those numbers because I thought he played well against the blitz Friday night. That was one of the first things I looked up. 6 for 7, 91 yards, a touchdown, a perfect passer rating against the blitz. You didn't see that out of Jalen last year. 2 years ago, you kind of did, right? And again, teams weren't dialing up the blitz as much on Jalen 2 years ago because they were afraid of the running ability. But Green Bay did dial up the blitz. And yeah, Jalen took a sack, threw an incomplete pass. You could have argued it could have been a pick, but it wasn't. But still, perfect passer rating is perfect passer rating. And you got to give Jalen his flowers for that. And, we can crucify Jalen for the giveaways and the late throws, but he was encouraging against the blitz and inside the pocket. And look, I think that's going to go a long way for this football team this year.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The turnovers, they weren't necessarily induced by the blitz or a breakdown in pass protection, right? The turnovers he had, well, in particular the interceptions, they were just unforced, very, very junior varsity mistakes. I mean, throwing the ball across your body, throwing the ball in triple coverage down the field in the middle of the field. I mean, it just didn't look good from a decision making perspective. Man, he could have really threw more interceptions. Do you have any concern about Jalen Hurts' turnovers, or do you just attribute it all to week one rust and a lack of preseason play?
You can say both, right? I think both things are true, but if we have to go based off last year, and I defended Jalen Hurts all offseason on this, I said he's not going to give up 20. He's not going to have 20 giveaways again. But then he has week one where he has 3 giveaways, and all of a sudden now that's 23 giveaways in his last 18 games. I'm not even counting the playoff disaster he had. So, yeah, I am concerned about it because it doesn't seem to go away. But again, I think we have to chalk it up, right, Tone? To look at the field they were on, right? I don't think the field helped Jalen at all. I think it being week one, not having any preseason reps, I think that plays a role in it. But giveaways are giveaways, and look, one wasn't his fault, but he also probably should have lost the fumble lay on the tush push too. That was on him, so it all evens out. But the interceptions are the damning things I'm concerned about with Jalen. The late throws, like you said, the decision making, throwing across your body. It just comes back to that Tim McManus ESPN report, which, by the way, Tim did a fantastic job on.
He did.
The quote to me that stood out in that was Jalen tried to play hero ball too much. I think he tried to play hero ball a little bit too much on Friday, and he doesn't have to do that. You can be like Justin Herbert was yesterday with the Chargers, or Brock Purdy normally is with the 49ers. Like, you don't have to be Josh Allen, the alien, all the time. We already know, like, everybody in Philadelphia knows you're a top 10 quarterback. You play like Dak Prescott didn't need to be a great quarterback yesterday, but he did enough, right? And you take away the turnovers Jalen Hurts had, you and I are having a much different conversation.
Absolutely.
So that's just how I'm looking at it. It's one game, but it's something that you have to be concerned about based on what you saw last year.
Yeah. Transitioning to the offensive line, right? You lose Jason Kelce over the offseason. Cam Jurgens moves from right guard back to his natural position as center. You originally had Tyler Steen as your starter at right guard, but you find Mekhi Becton, in the free agency pool. You coach him up, and now he's your right guard. For one, give me your concerns, if you had any, going into this game about the offensive line or the interior of the offensive line, and give me your thoughts about Cam Jurgens and Mekhi Becton's performance, just, run blocking, pass blocking, things of that nature.
So it was funny, Tone. I actually didn't have any concerns about the offensive line going into the game because I saw what Mekhi Becton was able to do in training camp, and he admitted to me himself, as long as I get my footwork down, I'm going to be fine, because his arms are massive, and you saw that Friday night. I thought Becton had a great game for his first game playing right guard. I mean, I still can't get over how well he actually played. Cam Jurgens, you take away the bad snap, the early snap, I think he was fine too in the run game and in the pass game. So I am not really concerned about the starting five as a whole. The depth is where it's going to come in. Like, say Mekhi Becton would get hurt. Is Tyler Steen ready? Who's the backup center? Nick Gates? I guess that's going to be our backup center. Who knows? But yeah, the depth on this team will be questioned. But the starting five, if they can all just kind of try to find a way to play 14, 15 games together, I think the Eagles are going to be in good shape.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't agree with you more. Again, you still have Mailata, you still have Dickerson, you still got Lane Johnson, right? You still have some nucleus, some pretty good guys in the nucleus to kind of make sure things don't go too awry. And then obviously, last thing on the offense, you still got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean, AJ Brown picking up where he left off, right? Over 100 yards, a touchdown on Jair Alexander. Then Devontae Smith comes up clutch on the final drive. Just give me your perspective about those two guys and the kind of season you anticipate those guys have, and especially when you add in Jahan Dotson, the Saquon Barkley effect, and Kellen Moore doing what he does.
Well, I'm as big of a AJ Brown fan and Devonta Smith fan as Tone, just based on our years on Good Morning NFC East together, right? I felt like every show we found a way to mention AJ Brown or Devonta Smith, no matter what they did that year, because that was Brown's first year. But look, Brown, not like he had bad games, he didn't, but you were kind of waiting for the big AJ Brown play in the first half, and it never happened. And then all of a sudden it happened, second play of the third quarter, you get the Barkley run, that sets up AJ Brown. Jalen Hurts, by the way, beautiful ball to AJ Brown. And then Brown did the rest, had the 68-yard touchdown. So AJ Brown makes his impact. But Devonta Smith, how about Devonta Smith on that final drive? When you needed to go to Devonta Smith on second down, on third down, I think it was the third and 12 play? I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't watched games on Saturday, but
Right.
Devonta Smith making that catch, and really that was the play of the game because that kept the drive going. About 3 minutes left. Devonta Smith is a really good football player, Tone. Yeah. You and I both know this. Look, we're not going to be criticizing those too much over the course of a season. Like, remember 2 years ago, our big debate was Devonta Smith didn't have a catch the first game.
Yeah, that was a funny angle people took because I said to myself, "That's not going to last. It's not going to last at all."
No, it wasn't. I think you and I said that, and what did he end up with? 95 catch. He set the franchise wide receiver record for catches in a season.
Yeah.
AJ Brown broke it the next year, so
it's crazy.
But yeah, it's kind of nuts how those two are. They're pretty much the yin and the yang of this Eagles offense, and as AJ goes, as Devonta goes, Jalen goes, and they got Saquon in the mix. Now, Scott, like you said, you mentioned Jahan. By the way, he didn't have a catch either. I saw, I don't like to pay attention too much to the fan stuff on Twitter, but when Commanders fans were hooting and hollering over Jahan Dotson not having the catch, I'm like, you guys don't have anybody at receiver right now. Like, Terry McLaurin had 2 catches for 17 yards. Luke McCaffrey was their leading receiver, a rookie, 3 catches for 18 yards. It's concerning for them. And I'm still kind of like, I get why they did it, but I'm still kind of shocked that they actually did trade Jahan Dotson.
Yeah. I think Jahan Dotson, like his moments are going to come. Still learning the offense. He did his job yesterday, and he motioned and he sold whatever else he needed to sell, and it made it easier for other guys to do their jobs. I know I only got you for another few more minutes, Jeff. So again, I appreciate the time you give me thus far. I want to jump to the defensive side. The Eagles, they've had a ton of new players come in on both sides of the ball, but more so on the defensive side. You bring in Zach Baun, you bring in Devin White, who didn't play. You bring in Quinyon Mitchell in the draft, Cooper DeJean in the draft. You bring back CJ GJ. Just give me your overall assessment of how some of those new guys performed, starting with Quinyon Mitchell.
Well, I know you saw my stat, Tone. He was targeted 10 times, and Slay was only targeted once. I think that was pretty much the story there. And look, Quinyon
welcome to the NFL, right? Welcome to the NFL.
Quinyon knew all week they were going after him. You could have asked him Monday, Tuesday, Sunday. He knew he was going to get targeted, and they prepared him for that. And I thought he played awesome, quite honestly. For a rookie in his first start, first week 1 starter at cornerback for the Eagles since Eric Allen. That's some pretty good company right there. And Nick Sirianni said it. Players on this team say he can play. And one of the reasons is because he's very confident in himself. He's very confident in his abilities. And he chalked that up to having a good rookie year when I did an exclusive with him last week. I was asking all the rookies, what constitutes a good rookie year for you? And Quinyon said right out, he goes confidence. He said, if I stay confident the entire year, I'll have a good rookie season. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that's kind of an answer you want to hear. Like, the guy doesn't say much, but when he says it, like, you're paying attention, right? He looked like a confident quarterback on Friday night. I think he knows how good he is or how good he can be. And I think he likes learning from Slay, who he idolizes, he mentors. And I think it's a real pat on the back for Slay, too, when you're only targeted once the entire night. You're 33 years old. So, what they got to figure out, Tom, is Quinyon going to be in the slot, or are they going to keep him outside?
I was going to ask you that question, Jeff, because seeing how he performed out there, I kind of don't want to move him. Jeff.
But who do we put in the slot?
I know, and that's where it gets tricky. Yeah, I know. And they want Isaiah Rodgers back on that field. So I wouldn't be surprised because I think the original plan was in base formation, have Quinyon Mitchell on the outside with Slay and whoever's in the slot. I can't remember whoever's in the slot. Then whenever they go to
if they're in base, there wouldn't be a slot cornerback. But
yes, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, correct. My fault. Yes,
Yeah.
in base formation, they would have Slay and Quinyon Mitchell on the outside. And then whenever they went nickel, then they would shift him to the slot and Isaiah Rodgers would play on the outside. Again, seeing how well he performed, I would love to keep him out there, but I think their overall goal is to have the best combination of talent out there at any given time, and maybe moving Quinyon to the slot, knowing how bad Avante looked, can help them maintain that talent base.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case, right? I think the perfect scenario would be is Cooper DeJean ready? Because if he is, that's your slot cornerback. The problem is he's 3 weeks behind because he missed 3 weeks, and Vic Fangio said last week he just isn't ready to go. So I think they're going to keep Quinyon Mitchell on the field. Don't even worry about that. It's just where he's on the field. And you're right. It seems like if Isaiah Rodgers is healthy, Isaiah Rodgers is on the outside and Quinyon's in the slot. And look, they'll play slot. They'll play a nickel formation 80% of the time just to keep him on the field.
Exactly.
So I'm not concerned about that yet. I'm just concerned about where they're going to play him. And right now, just be thankful you have him. I'll just say that. Just be thankful he's healthy, because if he doesn't, nothing against Isaiah Rodgers, who I want to see do really well. Keith Ringo, I want to see do really well. They're not Quinyon Mitchell.
Exactly. And then Zach Baun, right? I mean, who would have knew he had that game? 15 tackles, 11 solo, 2 sacks. I mean, he was everywhere.
Weird story here, Tone. So I talked to a lot of people that are on the Saints beat, or who covered Zach Baun when the Eagles signed him, because I knew who he was. But I'm like, oh, it's the inside linebacker. Yeah, I get it. They need a linebacker. And they said, well, he wanted more of an opportunity to be a pass rusher, which he's getting here, but he's still an inside linebacker. And they said, Philly's going to love him. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And they said, just the character, the personality kind of fits Vic Fangio and what he wants to do. I'm like, okay, so this might be another ring sign. You know what might be a hot take, Tone? And I'm not a hot take guy. Zach Baun is their best all-season signing.
Jeff, when we signed him, I told people, I said, listen, I've been doing a lot of due diligence. I've been reading a lot on this guy from Saints writers, not Eagles reporters. I've been paying attention to what the Saints people wrote about him. And they said, this dude is athletic. Yes, he was a perennial special team guy, but whenever he got opportunities, he took advantage of them. The final 5-game stretch of the season for the Saints, he came in when somebody was injured. He had sacks. He had an interception. He had some pass deflections. He was all over the place. I thought this guy could really bring something to the position. I got laughed out the live stream, Jeff. And look at us. We're talking about Zach Baun in week 1. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? And 15 tackles, like you said, 2 sacks, and I mean, Zach Baun is a good player for Dennis Allen. And look, I have my reservations of Dennis Allen as the head coach, but he's a brilliant defensive mind. And when Dennis Allen says something about Zach Baun, you listen. So, that's how I kind of viewed it. Cam Jordan said a lot of good things about him. Marcus Davenport played with him years ago. These guys know how good some of these players are, right? When they signed Zach Baun and Oren Burks, I'm like, and I said it too, it's organizational malpractice what they did at linebacker. Again, this is why these guys know more than I do, because I like the Baun signing. I liked how they drafted Trotter. I just thought they needed to do more than make their big free agent splash Devin White, right? But sometimes you got to get creative in certain situations, and the Eagles are kind of at the forefront of, we're just not going to pay linebackers, even though the best teams in the NFL seem to have really good linebackers. Baltimore, San Francisco, even Kansas City. And look, I can't fault the Eagles for this, because they wanted Drew Tranquill, and they tried to get him the last 2 years they tried to get him. And he signed with Kansas City and he stuck with Kansas City. So you can't fault them for that. But, when you're going into the year like, okay, and uncertainty with Nakobe Dean and Devin White, the stuff you hear out there. By the way, everything you hear from Devin White out of Tampa is the exact opposite what you hear from Zach Baun in New Orleans, by the way.
Wow.
And Bucs beat reporters liked him. They just, not good, you're not good, I guess.
Man, that's going to be interesting. Final question for you, Jeff. I know I got to get you out of here, my friend. I really do appreciate the time you've given me. The Eagles pass rush especially on the edge. Are you concerned about this defensive line in any way? Were there any takeaways you got about this defensive line in week one? Just give me your overall assessment of what you saw from guys like Bryce, Huff, Josh Sweat. We talked about Carter a little bit, Jordan Davis. Just give me your overall assessment of that defensive line from that game.
Can we chalk it up to how bad the field was? Because
Yeah.
I mean, look, I have my concerns about the pass rush going into the season, but it's kind of hard to judge a lot of people on this team when that field was as bad as it was. And in the reverse effect, it may have made the offensive line look better than what it was, but we'll always give the offensive line the benefit of the doubt because they've been good. We all know about this defensive front. Bryce Huff was non-existent. Nolan Smith had a pressure, but he didn't really do much. Jalen Carter only had 2 pressures, but he was in the backfield on a couple plays, so you can't fault the guy. But it just seemed like no one was able to gain their traction unless your name was like Moro Ojomo. So, yeah, it's interesting, Tone. I'm going to reserve judgment on them because of the field, but they didn't ease any concerns.
Jeff, my friend, I really do appreciate you giving me the time that you did, my friend. I know it was kind of last minute me reaching out to you. You got back to me right away, and we made it happen. I really can't wait to bring you on the show again. I definitely want to pick your brain a little bit more about other NFL games, right? As we get later on to this, as we get deeper into the season, when we have maybe a larger sample size of trends and things that maybe critique. But my friend, I love what you do. I love your writing. I love your perspective. I love the tenacity you bring on Twitter whenever someone gets out of line. I love you, my friend. Got a lot of appreciation for you, and I also appreciate you for always making yourself available to me whenever I needed you, my guy. Thank you so much.
Hey, anything for you, Tone. By the way, I do have to bust on you for a second. You said last minute. You do know you're a lot earlier than a lot of people who contact me for stuff, right?
Listen, you know what? I always feel like, because I reached out to you Saturday night, and it was late, by the way. So I was like, I was up a little bit.
I was up. I was playing NCAA football, watching college football. I'm doing my thing.
I feel that. So I'm like, you know what? 2 days, that sounds reasonable, but I like to give my guests at least maybe 3 or 4 days, because you never know. You might got to move stuff around, but listen, Jeff, again, I appreciate you for taking the time, making the time. And I definitely got to bring you on again, my friend. The people love you. Your perspective is always needed. And I'm grateful for you, my friend. So whatever you got going on, please promote it. Please let us know what you got coming out next. What should we be looking forward to from Jeff Kerr coming this week?
Well, I'll do a plug here. So I host a show every Tuesday night at Island Pizza in Birdsboro. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Birdsboro, but I host a show every 7 to 9. It's Q&A. We got Ed Kratz. We got Martin Frank coming this week. They're probably coming every week now because you can get all the pizza and wings you can eat. That sounds like a pretty sweet deal. But, just come hang out, get a beer, get some pizza, get some wings, do a Q&A with me. We're going to basically do what you and I just did here, Tone. We're going to talk about the game, and we're going to preview the next game and share some secrets in the locker room, not off the record stuff, obviously,
right.
But, plenty of on the record stuff. It's a good time. I'll have to get you to come down one of these days.
Man, you know what? I'm all the way in Texas now. So
you're in Texas now.
Yeah, I'm in Texas now. Yeah, I'm no longer on the East Coast. I moved to Texas last year in July. So
I didn't know that. You were still doing stuff with Jacob even then.
Yeah, I was. That lasted however long it lasted, and now here I am completely self-proprietor. I'm entrepreneur, solo dolo, building my own platform. We got a lot of people that's been locked in thus far, man. As of right now, we have over 250 people tuned into us right now. So I'm growing this thing, my friend. And I learned a lot working there. I learned a lot from you, learned a lot from Rob, D Gunn, Jody, John,
you work
B.
with
Brooks.
some great people.
Yeah, I work with some great people. I learned a lot, man. More names that I could probably mention. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity at the end of the day. And now I'm taking whatever I learned, taking the resources I've accumulated, and now here we are. So, and Jeff, you're one of those resources that I've earned, and I really do appreciate it, my friend. Again, I know I've kept you well over, my guy.
You know what, Tone? I always can give you 5 or 10 extra minutes. I'll just say this: you've always been a consummate professional. You were great to work with on Good Morning NFC East. You were a great producer. Yeah, you and I got along, but perfectly. I mean,
great show.
It's a shame what happened with that show, but you and I both know. So it's one of those things. It's we had a great working relationship, great professional relationship. Outside of that, I always, if anybody needs anything, I always say, hey, you know what? You need a producer. Tone DeShields is your guy. Like he's a guy who needs a break, man.
I appreciate that.
That's all I tell people.
Jeff, I really do appreciate that, my friend. You go on, you write the amazing articles you write, my friend. I'm looking forward to them. Thank you.
Yep, sounds great, buddy. Thanks.
All right. That was cool, you guys. That was cool. Shout out to my man, Jeff Kerr, for always showing love the way he does. I really do appreciate Jeff. Very early on, he showed me love, gave me insight. I learned a lot from him. He's very, very detail-oriented in his work, very detail-oriented in his writing. Knows the game inside and out. Truly is a savant when it comes to the game. And I just appreciate him for coming onto the show and making time for me. And I'm glad that you guys showed out. We have over 260 people tuned in right now. This is amazing. We're having a good day so far. Let's try to keep the energy up. Make sure you guys smash that like button. I really do appreciate you guys. Over 260 people in here, 119 likes. Let's try to get that math to start mathing. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, I really do appreciate you guys for locking in the way you guys have been. Again, I do have some stuff I want to get into with you guys, right? So make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. You guys are tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Now, we talked about a few things with Jeff. One of the things that I want to lock in on that we talked about was Quinyon Mitchell's debut. Quinyon Mitchell has me very excited about the future of this secondary. I'm very excited about the future of this secondary. Oh, wow, I got a super chat from my man Gustavo from Brazil. Gustavo Francoso with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Gustavo. I really do appreciate you. I hope you're still here. Thank you. He says, hello, guys. Cheers from Brazil. Jeff, you would be surprised with how Brazil received the Eagles. Please don't subsidize our country. Have a great weekend, guys. Have a great week, guys. Hey, listen, Gustavo, we really do appreciate you and your country for opening their arms to us, opening their arms to the game of American football. Right? We know you guys have an undying love for football. And you guys are truly great hosts. We're grateful for it, and we're grateful for the community, the culture that you guys were able to bring to the game. We just appreciate you, and I appreciate you, Gustavo, for being a supporter of my show. That goes a long way with me, my friend, and it means a lot to me. So thank you so much, my friend. And I hope I can continue to make your experience with American football that much greater. Thank you so much. Let's get to some of your comments real quick before I get into Quinyon Mitchell's debut real quick. Philly 007 says it's football. You get injured. Dirty play is an extremely way of saying it. Oh yeah, are they talking about that Jordan Love, Jalen Carter thing? That wasn't a dirty play. It wasn't a dirty play at all. Isabel Glover says the Cowboys played the Doo-Doo Browns yesterday. Well, we got to be honest about this though. That Browns defense was legitimate last year. And we thought their offense will be better now that Deshaun Watson is back. They added Jerry Jeudy. They added Elijah Moore. They still don't have Nick Chubb, but we thought they would be a lot better than what we saw yesterday. I mean, the Browns were just awful. They made it easy for the Cowboys. That game was a lot easier than I thought it would be for the Cowboys. I give credit to the Cowboys for doing their jobs. Let's see what else we got. Bite me. Where's your man Jimmy Huff at? Where's your man Jimmy Huff? Let's see. Jeff Fox says, reminded me of last year's sloppy and questionable play calls and lucky to win. I don't think the Eagles were lucky to win. I feel like they took advantage of their opportunities, unlike the Packers. The Packers didn't take advantage of opportunities. Philly 007 says Packers lose, move on. It's week 2 now. Well, technically we're still in week 1 because the Jets and the Niners still got to play tonight. Let's see where we are. Bite Me says Packers outgained the Eagles, but the refs were their MVP. Packers can't beat the refs just like versus the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs. I mean, y'all didn't outgain us by much. It wasn't like It wasn't like y'all had 400 yards of offense. We had 300 yards of offense. Both teams had over 400 yards of total offense. So, I mean, you didn't really outgain us by a crazy margin. I mean, both teams were pretty comparable in terms of yardage. Peter Walker says, Packers fans said we was going to lose 45-10. They definitely did say that. They definitely did say that. Let's see. Yeah, you guys are going crazy in this live chat. It's hilarious. It's going crazy. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed what I saw from Quinyon Mitchell. Right, Quinyon Mitchell's debut was spectacular. I'm going to give you guys a stat here that I saw from my man Jeff Kerr. It was pretty cool because Quinyon Mitchell, they targeted him that entire game. They really tried to take advantage of Quinyon Mitchell. They tried to catch him slipping. They tried to take advantage of him being a rookie. But the reality is, Quinyon Mitchell was very sturdy in coverage. Quinyon Mitchell was reliable. He didn't allow himself to get taken advantage of. Just listen to these coverage stats here. So I'm going to show them to you guys, as a matter of fact. I'm going to show you my man Jeff Kerr's tweet. Look at this. Because it needs to be discussed how good Quinyon Mitchell was last night when they tried to take advantage of him being a rookie. They tried it, but then they realized, oh, he ain't the one. So look at this, right? According to my man Jeff Kerr, the Packers, they really went after Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell was targeted 10 times and allowed 5 catches for 86 yards. Jordan Love had a 56.3 passer rating when targeting Mitchell. Simple as that. He wasn't good. Whenever Jordan Love tried to target Quinyon Mitchell, he wasn't efficient. He was 50%. He was 50% in completion. He had a 50% completion percentage, which is awful, which is on par with which is actually on par with his game performance. He completed 50% of his passes for the entire game, I believe. So that's pretty much on par. And Jordan Love, and again, the 56.3 passer rating, not good at all. So overall, Quinyon Mitchell had a really, really strong game. And also have another tweet to show you guys. Another tweet by someone who consolidated the stats. Check this out. Look at these coverage stats for Darius Slay and Quinyon Mitchell here. Darius Slay, 37 coverage snaps, 2 receptions allowed, 15 yards, 97.9 passer rating allowed, 6.3% target rate. Quinyon Mitchell, 35 coverage snaps, 4 receptions allowed on 9 targets. Well, I'm going to roll with Jeff's number on that one. 5 receptions allowed on 10 targets, about 86 yards, 66.9 passer rating allowed. So yeah, I mean, you get the gist of it. Quinyon Mitchell was a hard guy to target yesterday. You get the gist of it. The Quinyon Mitchell numbers are a little off in terms of the targets, because I think numbers are still being consolidated, and people are tracking this in real time. But overall, though, Quinyon Mitchell had a good game. They targeted him 30% of the time. They tried to take advantage of the rookie, and they couldn't do it. And on top of that, it wasn't like Quinyon Mitchell was going up against some slouches at the quarterback or the receiver position, right? He was going up against Jordan Love, somebody that the league is in love with right now. He was going up against guys like Romeo Doubs. He was going up against guys like Dontavian Wicks. Is that his name? Yeah, Dontavian Wicks. And he had to go up against guys like Christian Watson. He had a good game. He had a good game. Philly Flyover says Slay clearly lost a step. You can't really say that. I mean, Slay had a good game yesterday too. Granted, he wasn't targeted the most, but Slay had a good game yesterday. Slay was not a liability. Slay was not a liability yesterday. He was not a liability at all. So I mean, Slay, and plus Slay is Slay's 33 years old. I mean, what do you expect from him? The fact that he's still a top 15 corner at age 33 is that's remarkable. That's remarkable, right? We got to put things in perspective. And this is the NFL. Corners get beat all the time. Jair Alexander got beat a few times on Friday. Do we question Jair Alexander's resume or how good he is? No. He just got. It happens. At the cornerback position is the most unforgiving position sometimes because, and it's the most thankless. Because when you're doing well, no one talks about you. When you're not doing well, everybody can see it. You're going backwards damn near 60 to 70% of the time of the game. You have to mirror defenders. God forbid a guy catches a ball on you. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to get into assignments and, you know, what your job was on that given play. Like we gotta be more realistic about how we view defense when they're not even allowing you to really touch these guys to begin with. So, like, you got to give credit where credit. Slay is definitely in this league a top. You still got to consider Slay to be a top 15, maybe top 18 corner in the league. You have to. You still have to. And even if he is top 20 flyover, even if he is top 20, to have a top 20 corner on your defense is a good thing. That means he's starting level. He's starting level. You know, you gotta be realistic about it. And also trading Darius Slay this season, before the trade deadline will hurt you more than it will help you. We gotta be honest about that. And I'm trying, and as blunt, I'm trying to be modest, right? I'm trying to be reasonable. You know, I'm saying he had top 15 corner. I'm trying to be modest. I'm trying to be humble about it. You know, I don't want people to jump out the window saying Slay not a top 10 corner anymore. Okay, fine. Fine. The fact that you got a top 15 corner on your team paired with a young rookie, Quinyon Mitchell, and that top 15 corner is 33 years old. I mean, come on. Like, what more can you ask for from a 33-year-old corner? Still demanding the respect from his peers. They didn't target Darius Slay because they know what's up. Simple as that. So we got to be a little bit more reasonable with that. But overall, I was really impressed by what I saw from Quinyon Mitchell. I was really impressed by what I saw from Reed Blankenship as well. Reed Blankenship was all right too. That interception was huge. Reed Blankenship doesn't get enough credit for his ball hawk ability, right? Reed Blankenship gets interceptions. I know we don't talk about it much, but Reed Blankenship forces the issue. He's physical. He tackles well. And he last year, he led the team in interceptions. He had 3 interceptions last year. This year, he already has 1. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I know Reed Blankenship isn't the most athletic dude. He's not the fastest out there. You definitely don't want to bet on him in a foot race. You definitely don't want him defending any go routes. You don't want that at all. But Reed Blankenship in the intermediate, right? Intermediate and below, I like Reed Blankenship. You got to give credit where credit is due. That interception was crucial. And he hit the Quan, yo. Shout out to Richard McQuan. Rest in peace to him, man. That's a tough one. Rest in peace to Richard McQuan, man. And then I know a lot of people try to kill CJ GJ, he got caught on an island one too many times. And it's not easy to tackle Josh Jacobs in the open field. What do you expect? What do you expect? Josh Jacobs running at you with a head full of steam in the open field. What do you expect? It's Josh fucking Jacobs. I think CJ was all right. I think the defense overall played okay. Did they give up some explosive plays, you know, in the middle of the game? They did. But their red zone defense was stellar. They came up in huge spots when the offense was hurting them, flat out hurting them. I learned a lot about this defense. I learned a lot about this team. They got punched in the mouth a few times. Green Bay didn't lay down and die. Every time the Eagles took the lead, Green Bay came right back and took the lead. They were going blow for blow in the second and third quarters. And then things kind of slowed down in the fourth quarter. But that second and third quarter, both those teams were going body blow for body blow. And the Eagles stood firm. They stood tall. They stood tall. We should be encouraged about this Philadelphia Eagles team, knowing the circumstance they had to endure in that game. You're going up against a playoff level team who just smoked the Cowboys last year in the playoffs. They pushed the 49ers to the brink. They have a good quarterback who's ascending. They have a great running back in Josh Jacobs. Their offensive line is ascending. I got to give credit to their offensive line. Their offensive line was all right. Their offensive line was solid in that game. They weren't terrible at all. They played better than I thought they would. But honestly, you got to give credit to Jordan Love for getting the ball out quick, because there were times where Jalen Carter was mauling his guards. Jalen Carter was mauling people. They double teamed him all game. He was mauling people. But you know, when they double team you, there's only so much you can really do about it, right? But you know, we got to be mindful that it was week 1. They were playing in Brazil. The field conditions were awful, so it's really hard to give a strong critique of the pass rush, right? It's really hard to really go crazy on the pass rush. Both teams only had 2 sacks respectively. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't like one team took advantage and the other team didn't. You know, and also Darius Slay forced a fumble. I forgot about that. Bo 1990. Darius Slay forced a fumble on Josh Jacobs, but they just recovered it. Darius Slay had a good game. And that defense deserves more credit. That defense deserves more credit than what they've been given. Again, dire circumstances, back against the wall. They didn't fold. It showed how well they were being coached, right? That's another thing too. It showed how well that they were coached based off of the circumstances they had to endure. That offense didn't panic. They settled down. They got the running game involved. They simplified the passing game. They didn't overthink it. I feel like in those first couple drives, especially in that interception, Jalen Hurts was trying to move too fast. He was trying to blow the game open too soon. You know what I'm saying? And then I think once he settled down, he came back into the game and he took what they gave him. He allowed his playmakers to make plays. And that's the thing Jalen Hurts is going to have to learn, right? And I think that's something that we're going to see more of it as the season progresses. We're going to see Jalen Hurts taking more of what they give him. I think that first game needed to go that way so he can understand that, hey, I really don't have to force this here. So he has a ton of film to look at. A ton. He has a ton of film to look at. And then, my man J Love brought up a good point right here. Shout out to J Love. He says, what made Hurts so good was that he didn't put the Eagles in bad situations. Last year, he's been helping the opposing team a lot with silly interceptions. Absolutely. Great point, J Love. That's what separated that's what made Jalen Hurts so great, right? How efficient he was, how he didn't turn the ball over, how he was always in the positive column, never really taking negative plays, right? That's what made him great, and it really accentuated his skill set and his overall production. The fact that he didn't turn the ball over, but when you turn the ball over, it kind of offsets whatever production you did provide, and it makes it easy for people to critique your game. Jalen Hurts, bad decisions aside, he was pretty solid. He didn't have a great game. He didn't have a bad game either. I feel like Jalen Hurts had a very mediocre game, and he had high moments. He had strong drives, but Jalen Hurts didn't have a good game. He didn't have a bad game. He had a very intermediate game, a very adequate game. Nothing more, nothing less. He made winning plays when it mattered most. Getting back to the defensive side of the ball, though, one thing I did take away from this game is I don't think I want Avonte Maddox in the slot anymore. He didn't look good now one bit. Those Green Bay receivers, like Jaden Reed was destroying him in that game, and then he just didn't look good. He looked like he was reacting slow. It also looked like he couldn't get his footing. It looked like he was skating out there. Again, we can critique the field all we want. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but Avonte Maddox didn't look good yesterday. And I understand what Vic Fangio and those guys were trying to do. Quinyon Mitchell's going to start the game outside anyway. Just leave him out there, and we'll figure it out in the middle of the field. And it's kind of hard to argue against it since you won. But the tape the tape just showed me that Avonte Maddox, he's been practicing at safety all off season. So then on game day he gets thrown into the nickel. I mean, granted, he played the nickel a lot. You would expect those instincts to still be intact, but Avonte Maddox was a liability in the slot. I didn't like him there at all. They took advantage of him. And when Isaiah Rodgers comes back, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they move Quinyon Mitchell back to the slot and Isaiah Rodgers goes back outside whenever they're in the nickel set. And then whenever they're in base formation, Quinyon Mitchell plays on the outside. Like they intended. I think that's going to be the scenario. The Philadelphia Eagles want to get Rodgers on the outside. S. Blunt just asked me a really, really good question. A tough question, but a good question. He says, would you rather have Rodgers on the outside and Q in the slot, or Q on the outside and DeJean in the slot? That's a tough question, S. Blunt, because your question solely hinges on the fact, or your question hinges on the idea that Cooper DeJean is ready to go. And based off of what Vic Fangio said, he basically was indicating that, hey, we like where he is, but he's still not where we need him to be. They said, for him to have missed that time, he's in a good place with us, but he still isn't ready for where we need him to be at. So in saying that, if Fangio feels like he's not ready yet, then you got to go with Rodgers on the outside and Q in the slot in the nickel set. But remember, that's only in the nickel. That's only in the nickel. That's only in the nickel situation. In the base formations, you're going to see Quinyon Mitchell on the outside. You're going to see it. But with the way Avonte Maddox looked, and I don't know when, and look, we don't know when Isaiah Rodgers is coming back, by the way. We don't know. We expect him to be ready by week 2, but we don't know. But the way Avonte Maddox looked, I'm not entirely comfortable with him being in the slot right now. I'm not. He lost. His stock went down in that position. I still like him at safety, but in the slot, his stock went down. Let me get to my man Jason A-Team's super chat. Sorry, Jason, I forgot about this. I know you sent it a little earlier. He sent a $10 super chat. He said, Tone, I've been saying Moro Ojomo is under the radar, a breakout player this year. Also, Quinyon Mitchell looks like a vet out there. Solid tackling, very fluid, excited for this defense. Thanks, Tone. Jason, I appreciate you for donating to the show. It means a lot to me. Goes a long way. Thank you. Oh, let me get my man B Mills his wrench too. I forgot about that. B Mills donated earlier, and I want to make sure I give B Mills his wrench. Give me 1 second. Add as a moderator, standard moderator. Boom. B Moore has a wrench now. Shout out to B Moore. I thought I gave him one already. Anyway, not B Moore. I'm sorry. B Mitch. B Mills. Shout out to B Mills. X21. And shout out to Jason 18 with his $10 super chat. Yeah, I think Quinyon Mitchell tackled well. His instincts were stellar. His ball skills were there. I love how he turned his head. He didn't panic. He knew they would target him all game. He knew they would try to take advantage of him, and that's going to put the league on notice. That performance that he had puts the league on notice. The Saquon Barkley performance puts the league on notice, right? The Eagles making the mistakes they did, still putting up 34 points, that puts the league on notice. You feel what I'm saying? Quinyon Mitchell was great, man. Was great. Didn't give up a touchdown. He was solid in coverage. Displayed good instincts. Tackled well. He had moments where he looked like a rookie. It happens, right? You got to get experience, but for the most part, I feel like he had a good game. I feel like the defense overall had a solid game. If I had to give the defense a grade, under the circumstances, If I had to give the defense a grade under the circumstances they were put under, I give them a B-. I really do. I know you look at the score and you say, I don't see what you're talking about, Tone. I know you look at the box score and you say, what, that Eagles defense got tore up. If you watch the game, it really wasn't that game. That game could have got out of hand. All things considered, I give that defense like a B-. Maybe is that too much of a, is that a fair grade? Am I being too lenient? I'm curious about what y'all think about that. What would you guys grade the defense? What would you grade the Eagles defense after that game? Think about the entire nuance of the game, all the circumstances that they were put under. How would you guys grade that defense? Am I being fair? Am I being too generous? I give them a B-. I give them a B-. S. Blunt says B. Chin A says C+. Brandon Moore says B-. And by the way, thank you, Jason 18 for your $10 super chat. It means a lot. And my man J Love with the $50 super chat. Damn. Shout out to my man J Love, man. I really do appreciate you. He says, much love, Tone, from your longtime nemesis. We beef a lot, but appreciate your content, man. You know what, Jay? We do beef a lot. We disagree a lot, but it makes the show that much more entertaining. It makes it that much better, J Love, right? It's not fun when everybody's agreeing with you. When everybody's agreeing with you, what kind of content do we really have? So thank you, J Love, for supporting the show for as long as you always have. Thank you for being the bane of my existence. Thank you so much for being my longtime nemesis, my friend. I look forward to many, many more arguments with you, my guy. Thank you so much for your $50 donation. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much, my guy. Thank you. And also, shout out to Philly 007 with the $4.99 super chat. He says, Tone, you think Devin White can redeem himself or is he cooked as of right now? Oh, man. That's a good question because Zach Baun made it really hard to take him up the field, right? Zach Baun made it really hard. And I'm going to get to the rest of your grades too, by the way. Chin A says C+, Brandon Moore, B-. S Moan with the B. Crazy Cat says B+. Red Zone says the defense gets to A. Tone. Kevin Watkins says the D played great, gives him a B. B Mills gives him a B. Alex O, B+. Thaddeus says overall B, based off of my expectations. Oh, okay. He said overall B, based off my expectations, A+. Okay. Antonio Holmes says, Tone, you grading on a curve. Want you to be my teacher. B-. I give them a C. But I mean, Antonio, think about the circumstances they were put in, right? The offense turned the ball over 2 times. You were forced to be in your own 20-yard line multiple times a game. You only gave up 1 touchdown in the red zone. I mean, you gave up a few explosive plays, but for the most part, you kept that Packers offense from really getting off. You held their rushing attack in check in the first half. You know, you kind of gave it up in the second half, but by then, it was a passing game. You know, I mean, look, you held Josh Jacobs to under 100 yards, no touchdowns. You know, you didn't allow Josh Jacobs to direct the game for you. You didn't allow Jordan Love to take advantage of you in the red zone after the turnovers. You know, I think a curve is needed. That's why I gave him a B-. The real RP says B- is fair. They held Green Bay to 6 on the first 2 drives and no touchdowns for the running backs. Facts. And no touchdowns for the tight ends, too. Bang Eagles Bang says B-. Okay. But yeah, Philly 007 with the $4.99 super chat. Devin White, can he redeem himself? Sure. It's I personally believe that Zach Baun and Nakobe Dean made it hard for them to come off the field. They made it real hard. I think Nakobe Dean had a decent game too. He had moments, right? I loved him coming downhill, taking out the running back on he blew up the screenplay. He blew up that screenplay. They thought they caught us lacking. Nakobe Dean read it outright, came downhill like a cannonball. So I feel like there were some encouraging things from the defensive side of the ball. There was a ton of things to be encouraged about. I was encouraged by the linebackers. I was encouraged by the DBs. I'm going to reserve judgment on the defensive line. That grass was really hard for them to deal with. They couldn't really get traction. But Devin White, he's in a tough spot now. He's in a tough spot. You know how Vic Fangio feels about Zach Baun, right? And then Nakobe Dean playing as well as he did. I mean, Devin White is in a tough spot. I think this game is going to. I think Devin White getting on the field is going to come down to how practice goes this week and matchups, right? As you get deeper into the season, though, you definitely want to start to cement who your guys are. You don't want to keep having this revolving door of linebackers out there, right? Especially if somebody got the green dot. You don't want that to keep changing. You don't want to keep changing the voice. But as of right now, Nakobe Dean, Zach Baun, they have pole position. They're ahead of Devin White right now. Can Devin White change the narrative? I just don't know. 007, I do not know. And once again, thank you again to J Love for the $50 super chat. Can't be more thankful to him. These super chats you guys donating to the show really helps me a great deal. Means a lot, man. Especially when it comes from your longtime nemesis in J Love. Thank you again, my guy. I really do appreciate your support. I really do appreciate it, man. Let's see where we at. We got over 250 people in the live stream. We got 155 likes, man. Come on, y'all. Let's smash that like button. Let's get that thing to over 200. Come on, y'all. Come on. We got over 150 people. We got over 250 people in here. Over 150 likes. Come on, y'all. Let's do it. Let's do it. Philly Flyover says Baun was able to touch 15 tackles, 2 sacks. Don't forget the 11 solo tackles, right? That's a big deal. Some of his tackles came in the open field. He was a man on a mission. Dean played well. If they can do it and get good stops, the league's the league is soft. It's just excuses. Yeah, like the Kobe Dean and Zach Baun, they showed me something. And I'm really curious to see how can they string it together. And they have the Atlanta Falcons next up, right? And I watched that Falcons game against the Steelers. And look, the Steelers, they have a legit defense. That Steelers defense is very, very good. Very good. So, and I also know the Atlanta Falcons, they have a new offensive coordinator, new coaching, new quarterback. I know they're still working out, the different nuances to their offense, but that offense did not look good for the amount of money they spent for Kirk Cousins, for the amount of money spent at the quarterback position, what you've invested in the draft with Kyle Pitts, with Drake London, with Bijan Robinson, that offensive line. 10 points is unacceptable. 10 points is otherworldly. I don't understand how Kirk Cousins, they gave that man $180 million. $180 million. And you only can generate 10 points, 1 touchdown pass, and 2 interceptions. He's a statue out there. He can't move. He cannot move. I think, especially now that we're going back to the link. We're going back to the link where we know that grass is gonna be in top shape. I think the Eagles finished that game with 5 sacks. How many times was Kirk Cousins sacked yesterday? I gotta find out. Let me see. Because Kirk Cousins was a statue back there. He was a non-factor in that game. He was a non-factor. Kirk Cousins was, let me see. How many times did they sack him? Wow, they only sacked him twice in that game? I thought they would have sacked him way more than that. Wow. But he was getting beat up, though. I'll tell you that for a fact. He was getting beat up. Wow. Yeah, he was getting beat up, man. I wouldn't be surprised if the Philadelphia Eagles get like 4 or 5 sacks on him. He can't move. And as Blunt, very good point. They had way more sacks than that, but they called penalties. And one of those penalties was bull crap. I just feel like TJ Watt, he got a good jump off the line. And they tried to call, and he forced a fumble. And then they tried to say it was in the neutral zone. That's bull crap. They tried to say he was offside. That's bull crap. But he got it right back. You know what I'm saying? Like the Atlanta Falcons, I think their defense, I think their defense is pretty interesting. Especially having Justin Simmons, Matthew Judon, Jesse Bates back there. Grady, is it Grady Jarrett, right? Grady Jarrett is back. I believe that's who it is. Let me see here. I believe his name is Grady Jarrett. Yep, Grady Jarrett. They have they got AJ Terrell out there. They got some names out there, right? They got some names. But I'm sorry, man. The Atlanta Falcons, I'm not worried about them. I'm really not. Atlanta Falcons on Monday night, I like my odds with the way they looked. And also, by the way, I don't mean no harm, but you got beat by the kicker. You got beat by the kicker. The kicker kicked 6 field goals. The Atlanta Falcons got beat by a kicker. And also it wasn't, and also it's not like Justin Fields had this stellar game. He didn't lose the game. I'll put you that way. He didn't lose the game, but it wasn't like Justin Fields was killing him. So it was just like, and let me see here. And Infamous, you do got a good point. We don't have a TJ Watt. You're absolutely right about that. We don't have a TJ Watt. But we also won't have to worry about wet grass, or we won't have to worry about grass that you can't get traction on. I mean, look, it's a road game for Atlanta. They're coming off of a terrible loss. They're going to make a ton of corrections, right? They're going to make a ton of corrections. They're going to try to get Kirk Cousins, moving into play action. But Kirk Cousins can't move, man. He doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look healthy. That's just my opinion. He doesn't look healthy. Let's see here. Hey, Infamous. Hold on. Infamous. Now, Infamous. I don't know if you noticed this. I've been very nice to you today. I know what the Commanders did yesterday, or lack thereof. I've been trying to be nice to you today, Infamous. You my man. I've been trying to be nice to you. I've been trying to be nice, okay? I know the Commanders didn't do well yesterday. I know your man Jaden, what's his name? Jaden, what's his name? I forget his name. I forget the kid's name, the quarterback. Oh well, maybe I remember when he has a good game or something. Jaden Daniels, there it is. Jaden Daniels. I know he didn't have the greatest game. I know Scary Terry didn't have the greatest game. I know Luke McCaffrey was your leading receiver, a rookie. You know what I'm saying? I know that defense gave up 30+ points to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, who have a good offense, by the way, with talent on it. That secondary was finito. They were food. I can't. Infamous. You my man. You my man. You my man. I know he didn't have the game. Come on, garbage time. Come on, man. Come on, dog. Come on, man. I'm not paying that no mind, bro. I'm not paying that no mind. Come on, man. I can't. I just can't. Like, I'll say this, though. Jaden Daniels didn't hurt you. I'll say that for a fact. Jaden Daniels didn't hurt you. He didn't hurt you. I'll say that much, bro. I'll give you that. Jaden Daniels didn't hurt you. But he didn't dictate the game. Like, he didn't hurt you. That's true. He definitely didn't hurt you. But at the same time, you know, you were already down. Like, I mean, you were already getting smoked. You were already getting smoked. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean much. But again, I'm not going to kill him. He's a rookie. I'm not here to kill Jaden Daniels, though. He's a rookie. But I am going to kill you if you get out of hand. And Austin Eckler only had 2 catches or 2 touches. That's crazy. He had 2 catches. I mean, two rush attempts. Yeah, man. Like, come on, yo. Hold on. Time's out. The running backs. He was check down Charlie. It's all good though. He's a rookie. I feel like it's what you expect. Look, he had a better game than Caleb Williams. I'll tell you that. He had a better game than Caleb Williams. I'll tell you that. Caleb Williams was a non-factor. He lucky that defense came up big. He lucky Will Levis is an idiot. He's so lucky that Will Levis is an idiot. Caleb Williams is so fortunate that Will Levis is a dunce. Let me see. What other games went on, man? The Saints smoked the Panthers. I didn't expect that to happen at all. I thought the Panthers would be a little bit better. I knew the Saints would win the game, but for the Saints to drop 47 on their head top, 30 points before halftime, that was just crazy to me, man. I'm starting to worry about Bryce Young. Again, only week 1, and I know they're trying to put weapons around him, but I'm starting to worry about that young man. I really am. Texans Colts was a really good game. Anthony Richardson and those boys, it came down to the wire. But Stroud was just a little bit better. Anthony Richardson put up some numbers though. He put up over 260 yards of total offense, 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. Anthony Richardson was all over the place. He had some pretty big passes, some pretty big throws. So I like what I saw from Anthony Richardson. It was a tough matchup though. CJ Stroud and the Texans, they're a more established program. And they're more talented. But got to give credit is due. It was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game all through and through. And then the Giants. Oh my God, the Giants. The Giants are freaking awful. The Giants can't be real. I'm telling you. You know who the Giants remind me of? The Giants remind me of those teams you face on College Football 25, those FCS East, FCS West teams. If you guys play College Football 25, you know who I'm talking about. The Giants remind me of like the FCS East or the FCS West teams, the FCS South. They're awful. They're so bad. Daniel Jones lost to Sam freaking Darnold. Now, granted, the Vikings, they got weapons, right? Aaron Jones, who had a good game. Justin Jefferson had a decent game, right? But I think Minnesota's running game is what really set the tone for them. Daniel Jones, 22 of 42, 186 passing yards, 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions. And he threw a pick 6. Did you guys know that Daniel Jones has since he signed his contract, Daniel Jones has thrown more pick 6s than he has actual touchdowns. Like, it's insane. It's insane. Got to give credit to Sam Darnold for being efficient. 19 for 25 or 19 to 24, 208 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He did throw an interception, but Aaron Jones, 14 attempts, 94 yards rushing, a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 6 targets, 4 receptions, 59 yards, a touchdown. Jordan Addison, 3 catches, 35 yards. Naylor, the receiver, 21 yards on a 21-yard touchdown. Malik Neighbors for the Giants, 7 targets, 5 catches, 66 yards. Wan'Dale Robinson, 12 targets, 6 receptions, 44 yards. Why does Wan'Dale Robinson have more targets than Malik Neighbors? Help me understand that. Why does Wan'Dale Robinson have more targets than Malik Neighbors? I don't understand that. Where's your running game? Devin Singletary, 10 attempts, only 37 yards. Daniel Jones, oh my God. Yo, when he left that game, I almost felt bad for him. Did y'all see that? Did you guys see the footage of Daniel Jones leaving the arena? Oh my God, I felt bad. Let me see if I can find it, y'all. I felt bad. I felt so bad for that man leaving that game. Just listen to this. Oh my God. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. This is Daniel Jones leaving the game.
I need $1 million. I need $1 million. I need $1 million, Daniel. I need $1 million, Danny. I need $1 million. Give me You suck. I need $1 million. I need $1 million. I need $1 million, Daniel.
That's bad.
I need $1 million, Danny. I need $1 million. Give me
Oh man. Oh my God. Oh my God. That was awful. That was hard. That was hard to watch. That was hard, man. Let me get to some of these super chats. If some of them I didn't get to. My bad, Ferrado. $4.99 super chat from S Blunt. He says, let's bring in ATL content creators for a roundtable with Simone and LB. They don't want that smoke. S Blunt. They do not want that smoke. That's something they don't want to do. It's a good idea, though, but they don't want that smoke. A Ferrado with the $2 super chat. And plus, those things are kind of hard to put together, too. A Ferrado with the $2 super chat. He says, we're going to kill the Atlanta Falcons early. Prediction, 43-15. Damn. 43-15. That's lofty. I don't have a score prediction yet, but if I had to guess right now, because I had the Eagles beating the Packers. What was my score, y'all? 31-23. I had the Eagles beating the Packers 31-23. They actually beat them 34-29. And as far as this Atlanta Falcons game, again, it's early, and I haven't really thought too much about it. But if I had to give you one right now, I think the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Falcons. I think they beat them 33-20. I think the Eagles beat the Falcons 33-20. That's my early prediction. That's my early scorecard prediction for that game. 33-20. I think 33-20 is pretty reasonable. I think Kirk Cousins can get you for 2 touchdown drives, or maybe even 3, but they missed the field goal, or maybe they try to go for 2, right? So, thank you again, Afado. J Love says, Tone, all of our games seem like a struggle. We haven't blown the team out since 2022. I get it. But what I will say is, right, this game just felt a little bit different than the last ones from last year. I didn't feel like the offense was inept, right? You know, in those games last year, we felt like the offense was just struggling, right? This go around, it didn't feel like the offense struggled to string together drives. It just seemed like Green Bay punched the Eagles in the mouth, and the Eagles had to respond. And on top of that, the Eagles kind of put themselves in a hole a little bit. Again, defense was okay. They were solid. Offense picked it up after the first quarter. You know, this didn't have the same complexion as those last year struggles. Last year, we were like, what are we doing on offense? What are we doing? What are we doing? Why would you do that? Why would you run that? The whole game, I was saying to myself, okay, I don't feel like offense is my problem right now. But J Love, to your point, though, you bring up something else really interesting too. We did keep them in it with penalties and turnovers. You're absolutely right. We could have put this game away. Especially with the Nakobe Dean pick 6, he dropped that. You got to catch that. But you're right. We had more. There were so many third down penalties that I forgot to bring up on defense. The Philadelphia Eagles had way too many third down penalties on defense, which kept the drive alive for the Packers. We could have packed up the Packers way sooner, but too often they had third down snafus. Too often they had third down hiccups, right? I'm trying to remember where they happened at. I think they got Zach Baun for unnecessary roughness on the quarterback. I think they got Jalen Carter for like an unnecessary roughness. I think they got Avonte Maddox for like a holding call. And a lot of these happened on third down. So you can clean that stuff up. You can actually clean that stuff up. But I do understand what you're saying, though. You want to show dominance against some of these teams. But the Green Bay Packers are a good team. They are a good team. Yes, J-Love, good point. This is what I'm talking about. There was one drive on defense where every time the Eagles was on third down and they got to stop, they got flagged by the refs for a penalty. And then they marched them right down the field for a touchdown. So you're right. You're right. You can't keep their hopes alive. You got to play discipline. Rufus Wallace said, my bad, Tone. I had to pull over to text you this. The Giants remind me of the Bad News Bears. That's hilarious, man. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. You know what, Esbon, I'll work on it this week. I'll work on it. I'll do my research and try to find some Falcons content creators, and I'll try to work something out. That would be good content. I'll try to work something out. That would be great content. Delco Green says that performance was a result of the starters not getting to play in the preseason. They will eventually hit their stride. Yeah, man. You definitely saw some things in that game that showed you that there was a lack of snaps that were needed for the offense in particular. I feel like, when the bullets start flying, you got to get your quarterback out there and, seeing opposing defenses. And I feel like Jalen Hurts was he forced a couple things early. I didn't like it. And he forced something late. He had a rough start, and he had a slightly rough ending, but he closed it out. Defense showed up. I think it was overall. I think the overall game, though, I give the Philadelphia Eagles overall, I give them a C+, borderline B-. C+. Overall, I think I might give the Eagles a C+ game. And they still put up 34 points. Right? I would give the defense a B-, and I would give the offense a C+. Because you can't turn the ball over 3 times like that. You can't be fumbling snaps. I understand they got back into the game. They put up points. They were, they were going nip and tuck with the Packers. I think overall, I may give the Eagles a C+ or a borderline B-, like a 79 point, those turnovers are killers, and you could have really hurt your team. You could have really hurt your team. I give the defense a B-. I give the offense a C+. What does that average out to? A high C, a low B. That offense really could have hurt the Eagles. Jalen Hurts really could have hurt them. He really could have hurt them. But lo and behold, the game ended how it ended. Karan Williams says, how do you feel about the Browns versus Cowboys? I think the Cowboys, that was a good win. That was a good win for them. Deshaun Watson, man, I'm concerned about that brother. I'm genuinely concerned about that man. Financially, he's gonna be cool. But I'm concerned about I'm really concerned about Deshaun Watson's football life, his football future. He looked like he didn't play the game before. Now, granted, I will give Deshaun Watson some bail. His left tackle and right tackle were not in the game. His star left tackle and right tackle, that Browns offensive line is way better than what we saw. I can promise you that. That Browns offensive line is way better than what we saw. He was missing his starting left tackle and starting right tackle. And he's going up against DeMarcus Lawrence, going up against Micah Parsons, right? Micah Parsons was wrecking that game. But I got to give credit to Dak Prescott for coming out, doing his job. Got to give credit to CeeDee Lamb. Got to give credit to Tyler Guyton. He did give up a sack. He did give up some pressures to Myles Garrett. But I got to give credit to Tyler Guyton. He did okay going up against Myles Garrett. And he had help. They would double team Garrett. They would chip him a lot. They was hitting Myles Garrett with a ton of different looks. Tyler Guyton did okay. He did give up a sack though, but he did okay. But it's hard to win when you don't have your starting left tackle and your starting right tackle. It's hard to win. It's really hard to win when you don't have your starting left tackle and starting right tackle. And you don't have Nick Chubb, who won't be back until about week 5, week 6. Right? And honestly, I think the Browns defense did as much as they could. The Browns defense gave that offense opportunities to get back into the game. The offense couldn't put up points. I think the Browns defense, because I watched that game. I watched the Browns Cowboys game. I watched the Atlanta Falcons Steelers game. I watched the Texans Colts game. I feel like Deshaun Watson still has to get some stuff figured out. That offensive line got to get healthier. You got to get Nick Chubb back. I think that Browns defense held up for as long as they could. When your offense is doing nothing and you're being put on the field as quickly as you were being put on the field, they were put in so many different situations, so many bad situations yesterday. But got to give credit to the Cowboys. The Cowboys took care of business on the road. That's a good win. It's a solid win. I had the Cowboys losing that game. I had the Cowboys losing that game. All right. Let me get to some of your comments before we get out of here, you guys. I really do appreciate the love. You guys know the vibes. You guys know the energy. Let's see where you are with the like button. Let's see where we at. So we got over 200 people in here, 190 likes. Not bad, y'all. Not bad. I really do appreciate y'all for locking in. We had over 250 people in here at one point, man. That's so dope on a Monday. I really do appreciate you guys. It means a lot to me, man. It really, really does. Let me get to some of your comments here. The real RMP says Cleveland Brown Stadium is known for its factory of tears. That's funny, man. Delco Green says good win against the undermanned team. Look, you show up, you play the game. It's not their fault that the starting left tackle and right tackle was not in the game. They took advantage, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. And on top of that, they scored on special teams. It wasn't like, again, the Cowboys offense, they weren't spectacular, but they took advantage of opportunities. The Cowboys special team put up points. They forced turnovers. You know, they did their job. Dink Bergang says, good win for the Cowboys, but talk to me in January. I agree. I agree. The Cowboys are going to put up numbers in September. We know that. Don't pay attention to the Cowboys now. Pay attention to the Cowboys in December and January. Karan Williams says, we played a whole AFC North. I know, it's crazy. And we played a whole NFC South. Again. Delco Green says, typical Cowboys, their defense always gets off to a fast start and tail off as the season progresses. Jay Love says the Eagles offense is going to average 30-plus points. They better. They better. I don't see why they can't. Benjamin Moore says, throttle back, Tone. Week 1, we put up 34 points with a new offense, a new center, and also a new right guard as well. Jalen with more responsibilities for protection and audibles. Yeah. Again, you know, I'm not here to kill Jalen at all. I feel like I've been more than fair to Jalen Hurts. I've been more than fair. I've been more than fair to the Packers. I feel like I've been very fair this entire live stream to everybody we've discussed. But yeah, man, they put up 34 points in Brazil on national and international airwaves. They put up 34 points by accident. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, be more. This offense can really lay it on them for real. I'm with you on that. Antonio Holmes says, Tone, where the hell is Jimmy Hoffa? Yo, we're not going to see Jimmy Hoffa for a long time. We may not see him again, actually. We may not see him ever again. And listen, I appreciate him for subscribing to the show. And I appreciate him for showing love. Hey, y'all, we got over 200 people in here. 198 likes. We need 2 more likes to get to 200, y'all. Give me 2 more likes before we get out of here. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you guys smash that like button. It means a lot to me. Also, by the way, you guys, let me give you guys a quick reminder, right? The show is not only available on YouTube now, right? The show is also available on Spotify. So if you want to get more of your Chalk It Up Sports content, you could check me out on Spotify. Okay, you guys, check out the content there. I always upload the live streams within the hour after the show ends. So when this live stream is over, maybe you guys missed it. Maybe you want to double back, and maybe you're on the road, and maybe you're in the gym, whatever it may be. Maybe your hands aren't free. Regardless, Chalk It Up Sports is available to you guys on Spotify, and it's also available on Apple Podcast. Okay? So let me make sure I pull it up on Apple Podcast too for you guys to make sure you guys can see it. The stream is available. Here we go. The show is available on Spotify, and it's also available on Apple Podcasts, okay? So make sure you guys lock in on that. The show is available in more places than one. We're growing fast. We've had over 250 people in this live stream at any given moment. We've held over 200 people in the live stream for most of the show. It's been tremendous. The show is available on more than one platform: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to get your Chalk It Up fix. We got it available to you: YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Okay, and this live stream, the shows will always be uploaded within the hour after it ends. Okay, So maybe you want to double back. Maybe you want to check out the content on another platform, whatever it is. Maybe your hands aren't free. The content is available to you guys on more than one platform. Okay. So again, Apple Podcasts available. All right. Also available on Spotify. All right. Make sure you guys check that out. Means a lot to me. And the show is obviously available on YouTube where you guys can catch the live streams. All right. And on top of that, make sure you guys go bless yourself and grab a Chalk It Up Sports t-shirt. As you guys can see, I have on the tan one right now. Make sure you guys go bless yourself. The fabric feels great on the skin. I love the way the artwork, the graphics blends into the fabric as well. It holds up well in the wash. I've already washed both of my Apex Predator shirts. They don't shrink. Me personally, when it comes to my graphic tees, I like to hang dry my graphic tees because I always like to maintain the integrity of the artwork. That's just me. I personally don't dry a lot of my high quality shirts. I don't dry my graphic tees, things of that nature, right? Again, if you do dry it, it'll be fine. The shirt is already pre-shrunk. Like I said, it comes in 2 different colorways. It comes in black, as you see on the screen, and it also comes in eucalyptus. Some people call it tan, but I got the tan one on right now. I love the way it fits. I'm currently wearing an extra large. I'm about 6 feet tall. I weigh about 220 pounds. So it's the oversized fit. So I love this product. It really means a lot to me. We're going to be dropping hoodies this week as well. The moment the hoodies are available online, I'm going to make sure you guys are the first ones to know about it. And I really do appreciate all the support. The links to the merch is available in the live stream. It's in the live chat. You can see it at the bottom. You can also see it on my actual YouTube page on my channel. All you got to do is go to the store tab or the shop tab, and it'll pretty much bless you right then and there. So we've been having a lot of people support the channel via the merch. People have donated to the channel via super chat. We've done giveaways. Giveaways are going to start back up this week. I meant to do some last week, but I got caught up a little bit. So we're going to start giveaways back up this week as well. The show is growing pretty fast, you guys. And again, we wouldn't be here without you. So just make sure you guys stay engaged. Keep hitting that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show, especially if you're new. We're going to get out of here. Stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry. And you guys were tuned in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.